Dingle is a small seaside town on the southwest coast of Ireland's Wild Atlantic Way, known for a host of attractions over the years, such as being the filming location to Ryan's daughter in Star Wars, its beautiful scenery like Galaris Oratory and Schley Head, and there are endless things to do, with the Ocean World Aquarium and numerous beaches only a stone's throw away. But perhaps the most famous element of Dingle has been missing as of late, one special creature who made his home in the harbour and wove himself into the fabric and identity of the town. Fungie, the bottlenose dolphin, spent 37 years enriching the lives of everyone who came his way, until his unexpected disappearance in October of 2020 that upset the nation. Some of Dingle's own have joined us to recount their experiences with Fungie and discuss the dolphin. While we all know his name today, just how did Fungie get his distinct name? It turns out even the story behind his name is tied to the people of Dingle.
I think the accepted story is there was a local fisherman, Chris Courtney was his name. He's still to the good, although not fishing anymore.
And he was fishing, and of course, when you go fishing, you don't shave every day. And he was attempting to grow a bit of a beard.
I think it was something like every time he went out in the boat, the dolphin always came to him, you know.
But the beard wasn't, how would you say, growing fully. And the older fisherman said all he had was a bit of fungus growing on his face. And so he got his name from that fisherman, that it was Fungie. And it wasn't, as the Yanks say, because he was a fun guy. It was it was basically one of the fishermen that was attempting to grow a beard, and they called it after him, Fungie.
It's not a great story, but I'm afraid that's what it is, you know. But it's funny, like when we were doing trips, I always just kind of referred to him as the dolphin as opposed to Fungie, you know. But that's his name. That's how he got it, you know.
Perhaps the most heated debate on Fungie is around the reason for his disappearance and the likelihood of his return. The realists, the dreamers, and the conspiracy theorists all have differing opinions.
So why do you think Fungie went missing?
I'm very pleased that you posed the question is why do you think he left, as opposed to some other people saying like, oh, he's dead. We have no idea. The positive side about it is that the Mallow search and rescue team, they came and they searched the caves. Now, I'm very happy that they searched the caves, because I think it was our duty of care to check if he needed. Yeah, because a lot of marine animals, they beach themselves like seals and whales if they need help. So the fact that he didn't present to us looking for help, I think, is a very positive thing.
Fungie's time was up, basically. How he stayed so long, the phenomenon of him, a single or individual dolphin staying so long in one place is, how would you say, fascinating in itself, because he was one of the longest ever to stay anywhere. So I don't believe that he went away. I believe that he may have died.
I don't know. Like, he was on his own for so many years in Dingle. I'd like to think, anyways, that he maybe found a woman and went off with her, or you know, I don't think he left out of bad intentions or that anything malicious happened. I do honestly like to believe that, you know, in his head it was just his time to move on.
To think about it coldly and logically, I think his time naturally came, and he just drifted down to the bottom, and that's that. But I'm really happy that his body didn't get washed up in the beach or something, because this way you can kind of make up your own ending, or not make up, we can all have our own ending, that he kind of came from out there and he went from out there, and there's a bit of magic to it, which is appropriate, you know. Like, I can't say definitely that he just died and sank to the bottom. Coldly and logically, that's probably what happened, but it's nice that he disappeared as kind of out of the blue.
The COVID-19 pandemic has undoubtedly impacted Dingle's tourism industry, the driving force of this town's economy. The loss of Fungie, a major tourism draw in the area, may result in untold consequences for the town once everything is open again.
Do you think the tourism industry of the town will adapt to
the hole left behind by Fungie.
As much as he's a friend, so many people, like their family, their business relied on Fungie, and
Yeah.
you know, it was all gone in the blink of an eye overnight. So
Yeah. And, you know, if you were still working in the boat tour offices, you'd be out of a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's exactly it. And
Yeah.
granted, it was seasonal work, but for me, but there are people who did it all year round, and yeah, it's a big shock to them.
The dingle that Fungie left is a different dingle to the ones he arrived in. So it's gotten busier. I mean, as regards boat trips and that, I don't do them anymore, but the people that were doing the boat trips, are doing the boat trips, had already kind of diversified a bit to do sea safaris and angling trips and sightseeing. So they, I think, had already started preparing themselves for the eventuality and inevitability of his departure. So I suppose he has, like Dingle is pretty well prepared really for life post Fungie in that sense, you know. And you know, if he hadn't come, you wouldn't have whale watching tours from Dingle now, which you can do. So yeah, Dingle is pretty well prepared for the future, you know, but it has a lot to, you know, they owe Fungie a lot. Everyone owes Fungie a lot, I think, you know.
Despite the town's loss, Fungie's legacy and the hopeful stories he has created for the people will live on in the memories of Dingle forever.
Pretty much, like in some way or other, he affected everyone around here to a greater or lesser degree, and affected different people, I suppose, in different ways. I mean, you would have had people moved here because of Fungie. Like there are children going to school in Dingle today who wouldn't be alive only for Fungie. People moved here, met other people, settled down, they had families, but then they're only here because of Fungie. So, I mean, at the time, out by Slowdene, that beach by the harbour's mouth there, it would have been quite a scene, you know. People would have been camping out there, people to go swimming early in the morning, to go swimming at sunset with him, you know. So there was all that, you know, as a kind of, people getting a spiritual kind of a feeling out of it. Inside in the pier, people made money out of it, you know. And, you know, not just the boatmen, people came to town and just made the pubs busier, and restaurants and hotels and what have you.
I would find it very interesting that a lot of times he would come close, and as you would be about to take your photograph, he would actually pose. He would take a moment, and you can see in a lot of pictures that he swings the eyes backwards. So he was very aware of his presence in the group. I think what I loved most about having him in the space was that it's very difficult now to get a genuine laugh out of people. They respond or they go, ha ha ha. But you know, when people would see the dolphin and when they would see Fungie and he would do his jumps, there was always like, wow, wow, you know, and it was genuine, and it was people who, without ever wondering if people could hear them, were screaming. So I think he brought out a juvenile side to everybody. And in a world where everything now is like minute by minute, second by second, the people would stand at that cliff face for an hour without wondering, where else do I need to be? So I think there was a beauty in the relationship for him and for us. There was a respect. He knew we loved him, and that's why he stayed. But he certainly appreciated us as well, without a doubt.
And what's your favorite story relating to Fungie? Do you have any stories?
We've had many.
We had someone just jumped overboard one day. This woman from Scotland, we'd gone out in the boat, next thing, what the fuck was that? And this woman just jumped overboard. So my father turned the boat around, and you know, we just kind of drag her back in. He said, what do you do? She said, like she was just overwhelmed with this joy of seeing the dolphin. She wanted to join him, but jumped out of a moving boat.
I had a guy one time. he had a saxophone and he was playing in the water on the surfboard, playing for the Dolphin. We had another guy who has a flautist playing the flute, and he was down there. Another guy who actually went into the water playing the flute to attract the Dolphin. So we've had all the weird and wonderful people that have come and thinking that he was emphasizing with them and happy with him, and they went away home happy. But we enjoyed the music and we enjoyed their company.
One day we had someone out in the boat, unknowns to us, he was a cartoonist with the Dandy. He wrote us a letter, and there's Fungie in the middle pages of the Dandy back in 1993. Do you know? It was pretty cool, you know. They come to Ireland, the whole thing, and I think one of the characters is probably based on my father, the old fisherman, but it's great, you know. So just cultural little things like that, you know, just you're saying like one day you're bringing a Japanese television crew out, and next week there's someone from BBC Kids Television, Timmy Mallet came out with us, and then he's in the Dandy, and you know, and there's a film about him.
The only thing I would say for the future going forward is I don't know if there would be as many people willing to have patience for a period of years to bring him to the comfortable state that he was in, because the history of Fungie isn't just about he arrived. The first 2 years, it was Ronnie Fitzgibbon and John O'Connor who dived with him, and Deirdre O'Connor, and they spent about 2 years with Paddy the Lighthouse, just, I suppose, making him familiar in his environment. So I don't know if there are that many people now who would go into a project without having a need to make it a commercial project.
Yeah.
So whether another dolphin would arrive in is another thing. Whether people would take the time to socialize him and to make him comfortable in his environment is another. Who knows?
All people in Dingle were, you know, aware of the uniqueness of it. And you could walk out as far as the lighthouse and you could just see him from the shore. And he was kind of comforting, and he was constant, and he was, you know, he was kind of, he wasn't anyone's, but he was all of ours, you know. He was part of Dingle, you know. It was something kind of nice and reassuring about it, and unique. You'd be conscious of the uniqueness of it, really.
Looks like Fungie has left, but he's had a great run, and we know he's had sweethearts and had lots of fun. He was friendly and playful, a bit of a rogue. I'm sure someday we will see a wee Fungie oak. Yes, the people of Dingle love Fungie for sure. He's brought tourists back to their western shore. They've had Charlie's Chopper, Paddy Shea and Ryan's daughter, but Fungie was the greatest attraction for sure. Yes, Fungie is now part of Dingle's folklore.